I wasn't there or anything in that process, that part of it. But knowing what I know of him and the times I've been around him, and that, I try not to judge people.
What do you think about that, Key?
Can I jump in, Key?
Go, do your thing, man.
What do people always say about serial killers? Oh, he was such a nice guy, right? Don't give me that for what I know about him. That is the most political answer I've ever heard in my life, because he don't want to be forced to have to be on the record about some of the allegations, about some of the transgressions, some of the things that Antony Brown did. Let's understand that production breeds tolerance, right? So he understands that he can help me get something that I need. I badly need a second championship to cement my legacy and my place in this league. So I'll put up with anything. Listen, Seattle's the place where people who on 3 strikes you're out, they get a 4th strike. Because last I checked, Flash Gordon is awaiting in the wings as well. So listen, they're trying to get a dub and try to get a championship post Leads in a Boom era. But come on, Russ, don't act like you don't have an opinion on that.
Well, it's Russell Wilson. You're not going to get too much of an opinion. That's just his personality, who he is. I think it's a good fit in Seattle because I believe that Pete Carroll's done a tremendous job in the past with questionable off-the-field character type individuals, whether it's been through the draft, through free agency, whatever the case may be. When guys are coming out of college, he's giving them opportunities, second and third chances. Guys that have had issues like Josh Gordon, much like you said, off-the-field stuff. That if anybody with it, Seattle certainly has some things in store to be able to deal with that type of off-the-field scrutiny that they could potentially face.
That could be a potential signing for the Seahawks. The NFL trade deadline is November 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern. The Vikings and the Ravens are both on the bye this week, so they said, let's get an early jump. Minnesota is having a disastrous season, as you know. Trades Yannick Ngakoue to Baltimore. This is after they had acquired him from Jacksonville.
Yannick Ngakoue. You got
Yannick.
I'm going to keep pushing that.
Absolutely. Marcus Spears.
Spell Yannick.
That is definitely Marcus Spears. ESPN NFL analyst on essentially why the Ravens needed to make this move.
They have to face Patrick Mahomes. They have to face these potent AFC offenses if they plan on getting to the Super Bowl. And now you add another guy that you can create a 4-man rush with and find the one-on-ones and hopefully win them.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, including our gambling expert, Joe Fortenbaugh, at 8:10. All right, Bart, so you just heard what Marcus Spears said.
Yep.
It's basically there to stop one dude and one dude only.
It's not to stop just one dude. They understand that, they've been exposed a little bit in the previous games. They've been able to generate pressure. Max Judon, even though he's on a franchise tag, he's not enough. He's not being able to generate the sacks that they need, the pressure. So what happens is they're blitzing, and they're blitzing too much, and they're getting caught. They're getting exposed. They got exposed against Kansas City. They get exposed against a lot of teams. Last year against the Tennessee Titans, they just got exposed trying to do run blitzes. But you do that because you don't have impact players that can get there on a consistent basis. Now they've solidified those bookends. Now what they can do is they can play 2-man now, Key, because now you have 2 dominant edge rushers, but you have Calais Campbell in the inside. You got Derek Wolfe on the other side. You go out and get Patrick Queen. So now you feel confident that you can stop the run with a light box, meaning that you don't have to drop that 8th man into the box, which allows you with those 3 hybrid type of corners that they have in Humphreys, Peters, and Jimmy Smith. Now that allows you to be able to match up and still not be light in the box because Jimmy Smith plays that resident dime position, dropping down into the box.
No matter who you are from a defensive standpoint, no matter who you are on a defense in a secondary, you only can hold up for so long.
Exactly.
And this allows them to do what they've done best, allow pressure like Bart is saying, without blitzing so much and putting themselves in a position to get targets. It's not about Kansas City. I think when they look at it, people, first thing come to mind is, it's about Kansas City because of what Kansas City was able to do to them. But it's about getting the defense just better, much like you said, protecting the secondary with Peters, Humphreys, and Jimmy Smith.
Now, how about Eric DeCosta, man? I'm talking about one of the better executives in the business. He turned last year he traded a kicker to Minnesota, turned that kicker that's not even in the league anymore into Calais Campbell. And yesterday he turned a 3rd-round draft pick into a franchise pass rusher.
DeCosta taking over for the legendary Ozzie Newsome, so he certainly had big shoes to fill. Eagles and night game. It's the start to week 7. People are like, a 1-win team against another 1-win team. But the subplot was one of those 2 teams really had an opportunity to save their season. The team that won is waking up this morning, Key, with a .357 winning percentage. That's a good World Series batting average for somebody on your Dodgers.
Yeah, that's fine.
But the Eagles have done it. They escaped. They are 2-4-1 and in first place. Pretty entertaining game.
It was good
for a couple of bad teams.
It was a good game. I had to obviously do our show yesterday, and then went home, took a quick nap, drove to Bristol to do NFL Live, turned around, got back home, ordered some Italian food, made sure that I got my Italian stuff together. I was telling Paul, our stage manager here, that I feel Italian. It's like every day, whether it's a pizza, whether it's lasagna, I got something going from the Italian world. So I had that set out, ate a little bit, and started watching the game, and the game became entertaining. Carson Wentz did what he was supposed to do. He had an interception. That particular throw to me was a little ill-advised. I guess it looked like he was trying to throw it away, but the defensive back made a really, really great play on it. You had to give credit to him. But the Philadelphia Eagles did what they were supposed to do. They beat a team that was bad. They at times looked like they could potentially pull away in the division when they had Deshaun Jackson on the field. When Deshaun Jackson went away from me late in that game, I was like, okay, now this thing switches back to a winnable division for whoever, because he gave them a spark. He gave them something on offense from the first play on the reverse to the next play on a hitch. You could feel that it was going to be a good night for Carson Wentz. The ball was coming out of his hands with rotation. He looked comfortable in the pocket, Z. It was a good game for him. And I thought Daniel Jones played well. I thought he played well for the young quarterback. Ingram didn't help him dropping a late touchdown. It should have been a late touchdown. It was a good game, I guess. And when you look at Carson Wentz and you look at the Eagles, it gave you hope that they could pull away and win the division based on the way the Dallas Cowboys played against Arizona and the way Andy Dalton played. Carson Wentz is now the best quarterback in the division without Dak Prescott. I'll say it again. Now he's the best quarterback in the division with Dak Prescott not able to play the rest of the year. Before that, it was Dak Prescott, and Carson Wentz was somewhere fighting for the second spot with the other three quarterbacks in the division.
So let's stack it up. The Cowboys wake up this morning at 2-4. The Eagles are 2-4-1. So they slightly, by a few 1,000ths of a percentage point, or about 3 1,000ths of a percentage point, are in first place. The Giants and the Redskins are one-win teams. So how do you stack it up right now with the division, with right now Philly waking up just a hair in front of the Cowboys?
In that decision to tie the game, I think it was week 2 of the football season for Doug Peterson, looks different now today as they wake up, right? It may look different next week if they lose and Dallas wins or something like that. But today, people are happy in Philadelphia that he did go for a tie when he basically was put on notice to a degree for not going for the win in week 2. You got to be happy for Philadelphia. The fans should be happy. You win the division. You get a home playoff game. Anything can happen when you get into the playoffs. So I know it's a long ways away, but they're on course.
There's no question about it. Also, think about that game you're referencing against the Bengals. The next day, Doug Peterson was on the radio in Philadelphia. The slings and the arrows were coming, but you're right. Getting a T instead of an L might be one of the biggest.
I still wanted to go for the W, but I get it.
In that situation, but with every little thing matters in this particular division. Real quick, we're going to mention Daniel Jones. You said he had a pretty good game. There was one thing I think he'd like to have back, that in just a second, but the winner of this division is going to host a playoff game. I am with you. You have said before, there are many people that have said if a division is this bad, do you certainly reward a team that wins this division with a home playoff game, especially when you're expanding the playoff field, making it even easier to get in? Shouldn't you have to fight for the right, or shouldn't you have to justify that? I'm a big believer in the sanctity of the division. Winning the division, you play each division foe 2 times. You're playing a division foe in week 17, so the league has essentially said, not only do we think it's important, we're going to make sure everybody plays a division foe in week 17 for the sanctity of the schedule. Maybe it's old school, maybe it's traditionalist, but I do believe if you're going to make me play my division foes more than anybody else and make me end my season by playing a division foe, you are telling me there is importance in winning the division no matter how bad you are. I guess you're in lockstep with me. No matter who wins this division, they should host a playoff game.
Absolutely.
Even if they have a far inferior record to the team that's walking in.
Absolutely. You know, take, for instance, a third team that comes out of division. You get 3 teams that come out of the West in the round.